can you please introduce yourself and what is your inspiration behind your art?
I would say my name is William Floyd, aka King Pop, as a visual artist. I express myself through, I guess, visuals and just different like abstract art that turns into like people. Yeah.
And I see a lot of pop culture references all around.
Definitely.
So is that because you're a huge pop culture enthusiast or?
It's funny. I feel like I'm definitely a huge pop culture enthusiast, but I think also I like to educate people on like different, like I guess, disciplines. So it's easier. I feel like through visual art, I feel like it makes it easier to like educate people on, who different people are. Yeah.
And can you explain what is your process like when you begin as an artist, and then also what kind of materials are you using?
Yeah, so I would say I start off with like a basic sketch, and then normally I turn it into like an illustration, and then based on like, I guess the medium that I decide to use, it could range from woodwork to acrylics to oils to, spray paint. Really, just all across like different disciplines.
And I heard that the last 2 years you've been focusing mostly on, how do you even call this? It looks like a rug. I know it's not necessarily a traditional rug. What would you call this?
I would definitely call it still like a rug, but I think with this particular style, I've decided to use like this 8-bit like computer animated illustration style. It kind of like the yarn kind of turns into like this, like, real like old fashioned like looking thing, but still with the finish it turns it into like this contemporary style. So it's, just mixing the mediums and just not really playing by any of the rules, just kind of just having fun and, expressing myself through it.
And what do you hope that the viewer takes away from your art?
Honestly, just like don't allow people to put you inside of a box. Like, even if you're inside of a box, you can still like be creative and like use like things that typically people wouldn't think to use, and still like draw people from, a younger audience to an older audience, just based on like some of the things that people tend to always interact with in some parts of their life. They like, I feel like especially as a child, like what kid didn't have their grandmother's like yarn like throw, like, it's all these different things that people, I feel like, have these different interactions with, and they wonder why they have like this liking to it, but it's only because they've already experienced it before, and it's just like playing with those different mediums kind of like refreshes your mind to like, oh, I remember when this moment happened, that type of thing. So I definitely like to do that with my art, and I feel like with the colors that I use, I feel like it always ties back to like this time where like you were a kid, you were a child, and you like picked up a box of crayons, you know what I mean? Like literally. Yeah.
Love it. Thank you so much. And I'm an 80s child. I wish I was born in the 80s because I just love colors, as you could tell. I love your art, and can you please explain the inspiration behind it?
Okay, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. The inspiration is I've always painted with still life painting, and I love patterns. I love objects. I love good aesthetics, right? And I feel like still lifes can be sort of boring, right? Dating back to the Flemish painters, they're beautiful, but they're dark, and you have a lot of dead things on a table. And I just want to create a still life with beautiful objects, with lots of beautiful color, patterns, just really good balanced aesthetics. So I'm trying to modernize the still life kind of genre by bringing fun and beauty to it, and taking the still out of the still life and making it more alive. So that's my intent.
You're a poet too, I see.
I spent a lot of time on that catch. So I'm glad it worked.
And then what is your process like as an artist? One, how do you get started? And then two, how do you choose the materials and kind of what will be your center focus? So forth?
No, it's a great question. So I do paint oil on canvas, so that's my only medium. I paint one painting at a time, and I'll usually, an inspiration could be a piece of fabric, it could be a vase. So it's usually one piece and one object, and then I'll go around and then I'll find other pieces to build out the design. and then I'll put it together. So it really comes down to that one, whether it's a vase, a piece of fabric, and then I'll just build it. It's almost like an interior designer. They find something, that's their jumping off point, and then they'll design the content around that. And then once that, I draw it on the canvas, and then I just start painting. And it takes me about 3 weeks to do each painting.
So it's like a nice therapeutic process in those 3 weeks.
Absolutely. I paint 6 hours a day at night after my day job. And then I get through the painting, and then I'm ready for the next one.
Can we know what your day job is, if you feel comfortable?
I work for a financial services company.
So very different.
Very different. I was an art major in college, but my parents were like, "Well, how are you going to be an artist? How are you going to make money?" So I ended up getting a job.
Can you please introduce yourself and explain what is the inspiration behind your art?
Well, I'm from Mexico. My name is Arturo, and this is the stand of Mexican artists. We do collaborations, and most of the pieces are done by at least 2 or 3 artists in different backgrounds.
So a lot of collaboration going on. And I see that some of these are made out of paper, these out of nails. Wow. So which ones did you take part in?
The mirror, the screws, the frames over there, the slot or shed. It depends what you want to see. And also in these sculptures.
Can you explain the process behind the nails?
Yeah, you need a wood frame, then you have to draw what you want to do, then you have to cover the draw with the screws, and then you have to draw it again over the screws. And then if you see by the lateral view, we have different, like it's not plain, so you can play with the shadows.
I've never seen anything made out of screws.
Thank
and
you.
this is so interesting, even out of paper also.
Yeah, they are done of paper.
Amazing. And I see a lot of Frida. So can you
Mexican.
explain, yes, can you explain
like
the
the-
love of Frida?
I love her because of the color, because of the history, because of the flowers, and because of her personality.
Amazing. And so for somebody looking at your art, what do you hope for them to take away from the art?
What I hope?
Yes.
To enjoy it in their home or in the place that they decide to put it. And to have a piece of Mexico outside my country.